Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Today's episode is going to be all about the next wave of stars, just the players who are ready to make that superstar leap this upcoming season, and just the players that I believe have the best chance to break into that superstar echelon this upcoming season. For me, just reviewing off of last season and how I did my player rankings, I believe there are only to be 14 players in the NBA right now that I would actually give that true superstar label. And that list goes as follows. We have Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard, and Victor Wembanyama. But obviously every year, a few players make their cases for that illustrious superstar title. Basically last season, we saw Victor Wembanyama really bump himself up into that range. And so for the guys that I think deserve that new superstar level of respect, I'm going to be giving those players and the guys who I think have the biggest opportunities to take that step in the 2025-2026 NBA season, and guys that will force their way into that top tier if they live up to the expectations that they have. And to start this list, I have Jalen Williams from OKC. Now with J-Dub, I don't really view him as a superstar just yet. With me, at the moment, the way I view it, there's still a fair chunk of variance in J-Dub's game, and we saw that throughout last postseason. He's not exactly a guy who can manufacture super high-tier team offense just yet, but that ceiling is definitely on the horizon. Obviously, more polish on that pull-up jumper, especially from last season, more consistency at designating his energy towards rim pressure. That stuff will allow him to reach that ceiling. Now with J-Dub though, the reason why I was so high on him and why I did have him ranked 16th in the league is because of the overall value that he brings, because of the versatility that he brings with the frame, the skill set, and the competitive fire. Last season, J-Dub was a top 15 defender in the NBA. He was a top 5 perimeter defender in the NBA and a top 3 most versatile player in the league. And just someone who literally has every single piece of value that you could ask for. When we're looking at the on-ball creation type of things, it's the actual rim pressure that comes with the powerful momentum generation, just the ability to contort his body and actually shift angles with absolute strength and power. We talk about the overall level of pull-up shooting in his game, especially from that intermediate range, and that's where also the efficient shot hunting comes into things as well, out of pick and roll, where he actually can contribute to half-court surgical offense. He has real jump shot advantages. He has the size, he has the strength to be able to create that space, the elevation tools. He's a physical space creator as well. He actually flourishes by gaining that contact and actually pushing off defenders, getting that extra wriggle room. He's actually a relatively developed passer in the NBA too, someone who also can create his own passing windows through physical contact. We also talk about the off-ball value. Last year, 40% off threes off the catch, 74th percentile spot-up player, just a powerful and explosive closeout attacker. Absolutely tremendous cutter on the backline as well, and in those slots, offering those outlet options for guys like SGA and Chet Holmgren who can get stuck in their rim pressure tactics, and just extremely active in transition off stops as well. And so basically, just an extraordinarily gifted, versatile talent offensively. And for J-Dub, that doesn't even consider the dominant defensive activity that he brings on the backline as a super aggressive weak side rotator. Someone who has an exceptional 7'2" wingspan for his 6'5" size, but he provides so much timely reaction speed, being able to cut off passing lanes, being able to disrupt looks at the rim, being able to shut off driving advantages. Literally any single designated role that OKC wanted to give him last year, he was able to flourish in at such a high level. And so basically the only reason why J-Dub isn't already a superstar to me is just the overall load carrying factor. At this point in time, J-Dub isn't a player who can carry a high enough load as a floor-raising talent to satisfy that superstar box just yet. But with another offseason of most likely really just skill refinement focus, which is the only thing that J-Dub really needed to harp on, I think there's no doubt that he'll be able to boost those overall efficiency numbers back to the level that we saw just a year prior, especially in the pull-up shooting type of things, where he was actually a top 5 shooter off the dribble in the entire NBA in that 2024 season. And if J-Dub can cement the consistency throughout the entire season, just with the abundance of experience that he got from just last year's championship run alone, I just think another year of maturity and general development, just more understanding his strengths as a full-on rim pressuring athlete and understanding how to best take advantage of the gravity that his downhill pressure causes as a real high volume passer. That stuff will build the overall offensive impact which did vary throughout last season, but J-Dub is actually so close to that superstar tier, especially with the accomplishments that he's already achieved just off last season, but just leveling up the offensive initiation capabilities that will cement him into that superstar tier and that superstar conversation as OKC also looks to repeat with J-Dub as their second man. Now moving on, my next guy up for today, who is probably the guy that is the actual closest to this tier already, and this is the guy I actually had ranked 15th in the league in the entire NBA last year, and so literally just one spot from that superstar section at the moment, and that is Evan Mobley. Last year, Evan Mobley was one of the most overpowered off-ball players in the NBA. We're talking about a guy who had dramatic shooting improvements last year, and just basically the value boost that he gives to a team offense as a guy that can run your 4 or 5, and just the ability to shoot, I think it was like 37% from 3 last season, just absolutely exceptional confidence, and someone that brings real contribution to team ball movement as well, and advantage extension offense, and that is a major draw in Mobley's portability. We're talking about the comfortability as a ball handler, the ability to attack closeouts, and ability to actually comfortably land into those pull-up jumpers from the intermediate zone. That stuff actually brings so much more value than people can sometimes overlook. Last year, Mobley averaged 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. He notched an All-NBA second team selection, and he won the Defensive Player of the Year as Cleveland's most impactful regular season player. And what's interesting is that this is a guy that I viewed as someone who could have realistically been on that All-NBA first team, and it is relatively surprising that someone that good isn't already in that superstar discussion just yet. But for Mobley, it's similar to J-Dub. It's just Mobley provides the extraordinarily versatile basketball skill set and someone that ticks so many different boxes, but he isn't someone just yet that presents enough in the load carrying and the floor raising context. Just the lack of pure matchup resilient driving power, someone who's still yet to be fully developed as a pull-up shooting big man, and just the lack of overall efficient big man shot hunting. That sort of stuff just denies Mobley of that full game-to-game baseline of self-production that does separate him from guys like Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Davis, guys that I believe can put up more imposing numbers and provide more scoring value. And whether it be like, Wemby's extra reach as a roll man and the extra release hard advantages that he brings to the game. Anthony Davis on the other end, he's got that ability to exert that power and mobility dynamic to get easy and efficient isolation buckets. That is the difference between Mobley and those two guys above him. But with Mobley's overall growth in the last year, there's so much optimism for what he can possibly do this season to boost that overall talent and the production. And by continuing to grow out that off the dribble, that closeout attacking game. And I just think there definitely is a visible path for Mobley to bolster that raw impact that he offers on the floor with just more overall scoring gravity. And with some more reliable night-to-night offensive production matched with the defensive superstardom that he brings to the game already, I just think Mobley's definitely capable of making that expected superstar jump, especially if Cleveland can assert themselves as that Eastern Conference juggernaut once again. Now next up, my third guy for today's list is Zion Williamson. Now Zion is a player that many have fallen short of belief with and someone that many people have ran out of faith with. But for me, after seeing what Zion has been able to do with his body, I'm going to entertain this conversation as he does aim to lead a pretty lackluster Pelicans team to what looks like to really just be a play-in tournament type of ceiling. But the pathway to superstardom for Zion is the elite matchup resilient trait that he's always had since straight out the gate entering the NBA, and that is rim pressure. He's one of the most absurdly dominant momentum generation types of athletes, someone that provides insane levels of body contortion, just absolutely bolstering a vertical explosiveness tools as well. And he's just someone that still takes over 60% of his shots directly at the rim. He's a guy that actually can't be denied those penetration lanes, and really just the fact that every piece of shot selection of Zion's game is at least within that paint non-restricted area, that is the type of top-tier, elite, efficient shot hunting that makes superstars in today's NBA. Now, with Zion's case, the belief that he can actually have a possible breakout superstar campaign this season stems from the elite level that he can rise to when he is healthy. Last year, his per 36 numbers, 31 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. And so basically, when he is healthy, this is arguably a top 15 player in the league already. But with now a more refined and toned frame, just with the major weight loss, just seeing Zion suit up for at least 60 games seems quite realistic at this point. And when you are a top 3 rim scoring force in the entire NBA, that sort of elite skill specialization makes you extremely valuable for any team. And with a projected role as a primary point forward, generating team-wide offense for this Pelicans team, with his ability to destruct defensive coverages and kickstart those spot-up possessions with ease, I just think Zion really just poses as such a major candidate to jump into this certified superstar section of the NBA if he can stay healthy and committed to the conditioning side of things. Obviously, Zion is one of the most unfair talents that the league has ever seen, and with a new reformed frame that takes off substantial weight and toll off his lower body, if we can see Zion suit up for 60 to 65 games this year and really lead the charge for this plain, aspiring Pelicans team, I just think there is no reason why we won't be viewing him on that superstar scale with just how unwavering his mastered strength of direct and combative contact driving is. And I just think out of anyone in the league, this guy might have one of the best chances to make that leap this upcoming season. Now, moving on to my last but very realistic superstar candidate, that is Cade Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons, and someone who I believe to have quite a wide list of key issues that he still needs to fix up before he can enter this elite impact status conversation just yet, especially considering his high usage and the heavy on-ball duties that he does carry at this point in time in that Pistons offensive system. But certainly, the pathway is very clear for Cade to assert himself as a top-tier level star, especially with the high-efficiency offensive outlook in which he looks to conduct offense in. Last year, Cade averaged 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. So basically, already what we're looking at is already superstar production numbers. However, in my opinion, I think these numbers can be a little bit distorted and misleading because of the ball draining type of play style, which just doesn't provide much off-ball value just yet. Last year, for guys to at least suit up for 65 games, Cade ranked 3rd in usage rate, only behind Giannis and SGA, and really just in close company with guys who are both more efficient as volume creators, but also guys who do provide much more external value. And so despite people already anointing Cade Cunningham as a superstar, in my opinion, he still lacks a lot of the aggregate impact stuff when it comes to efficiency, ball security, off-ball value, that real surgical game sense in high-stakes matchups. And obviously, he's had a major season of growth, and really just with the dramatic responsibilities that he's seen over the past year, I just think Cade does have the opportunity, though, to assert his status with his blend of physical tools, that elite pace control, the developed short-range shot touch that he brings to the NBA. And though I think he is quite far behind, especially than the other 3 guys that I did have on this list, I think the pathway is very, very fluid for Cade Cunningham this upcoming season. Obviously, looking into 2026, Cade definitely has the reins in Detroit once again, and his responsibilities are still staggering. But we've already seen just how capable of a regular season offensive engine Cade can be. Last season, obviously leading out a 6-seed Detroit Pistons, but by simply adding more overall polish as a decision maker, just jacking up that in-game motor and toning down the lazy passing reads, sharpening the value of that pull-up 3 and the aggregate scoring efficiency numbers, I think Cade will definitely put up such a strong case to enter this short superstar list. And just the playoffs though, these are the only things that really actually deny him of these conversations just yet. They did expose a lot of the flaws for Cade still. In that 6-game span against the Knicks, he did shoot just 18% on threes, just 54% at the rim, and 42% effective field goal percentage on pull-up jumpers. That ranks 2nd worst out of anyone to take at least 10 field goal attempts a game on pull-up jumpers. But with another season of experience in that high-stake, extreme ball pressure, and just the unfavorable matchup sort of environment, I just think Cade's maturity and the execution mindset will be what drives a superstar leap going into next season. And so with Cade, that does wrap up the 4 guys who I think have the most realistic chances of making that true superstar jump into that tier of the league. J-Dub, Evan Mobley, Zion, and Cade Cunningham. Each of those guys is obviously at a different point in their development, but these are all guys that share the potential to take a massive leap this upcoming season. Just the kind that changes just how we view them across the league. And whether it's refining their offensive creation or simply just staying healthy or just taking control of their franchise, these are the names that I'll be watching closest this year for those superstar improvements. You guys let me know though, who do you think is ready to make that leap into the NBA's top tier, especially out of this 4 group? Let me know on Instagram at Casual NBA Fanatic, and make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next breakdown. The season is almost here, so obviously keep staying tuned, and I thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.